Hi, I'm Clay Carlino, and I think I have a computer that works. I'm almost afraid to say that. And this stream is a little bit of a test, but I am actually streaming from my desktop computer. And hopefully people are seeing it. I've got my YouTube window open over here, and it hasn't really started doing anything yet, so I don't really know if it's streaming or not. But the but OBS says that I'm streaming, so maybe I am. So this is, like I said, this is a little bit of an experimental stream, but it's really the only way that I can check to see if everything's actually working. Now, if you're hearing some interference in the background, that's because Dudley is scratching on a scratch pad made out of cardboard because he's a cat and that's what they do. But anyway, so I've got my window open. In fact, let me show you my screen here. I can switch over just like that. And so if you're able to see this video, you can see that I've got my my OBS window here and then my YouTube window here, which says that it's waiting to connect to my streaming software, but I happen to know that my streaming software supposedly is already connected. So we'll see what happens. But the important thing to note is that when I'm viewing my video, like right here, in fact, you can see me going on to infinity, which is kind of freaky. But when you can see that video, it seems to actually be in real time. And that's been the biggest thing that I've been fighting against, because all of my previous videos were kind of and now it looks like, I've got video. So let's start by talking about how I got this to work. And I've been playing with my settings all day long just to try and get this to work. And I've been futzing with resolutions and things like that. I'm using a $20 Logitech webcam right now. And I think that might be one of the sources of my problem. Not all of the sources, though. It is good to, I think, 1280 to 720p resolution at 30 frames per second. But it seems like when I have it set on 1280 by 720 or whatever that is, that's when I start getting a lot of, a certain amount of video lag. So it is capable of doing that resolution, but it doesn't seem to be happy doing that resolution. And I've been looking online, and there are some much better cameras. Obviously, when you only pay $20 for a webcam, you're not getting the highest end thing. But this is a little bit of my philosophy here, and you see I'm getting close. Notice that I set up hotkeys. So, see, I have this debate. Laura, I'm going to call you out. Laura and I, in fact, also a little bit of Chris, I'm calling you out too. Okay, there are a bunch of people in my life that are always advising me to spend more money and get higher quality stuff to do the work and the projects that I need to do. Because, people will always tell you that, if you want to do something well, you should have decent tools. And I'm not disagreeing with that. It's not bad to have some high quality tools. But here's here's where I'm going to challenge that notion to a certain degree. Because, see, if I start out spending a lot of money, and let's just say that I invest a decent amount of money and I get a high-end webcam and I get, let's just say, a Macintosh computer, which we know that that'll never happen, but this is fantasy talk, and I spend thousands of dollars on a computer and everything just works right out of the box, then yes, I have saved myself some frustration and I've saved myself time. But here's the thing: what I haven't done is, for one thing, I haven't actually learned how any of it works. I'm relying on other people who have developed these products to solve my problems for me, which, sometimes you want somebody else to solve the problems and you pay them to do that. That in itself is not a bad thing, but when other people solve your problems for you, then you don't know what problems they're solving. And you don't know how many of those problems you actually care if are solved or not. My computer, I bought it on Amazon, and this is a case where I decided to try to use money to solve my problem. My laptop is an older model laptop. It's probably from about 6 years ago. I didn't buy it 6 years ago. I bought it refurbished 3 years ago, 4, something like 3. I think 3 years ago, and it's been a great laptop. I continue to use it for everything, including, up until recently, I was using it for live streaming, and it did a terrible job. It was not built for that kind of use. It doesn't have a dedicated video card. It is not a gaming laptop. It doesn't have an abundance of RAM or a terribly powerful processor. But for all the other stuff that I've ever needed it to do, it's been great. And I install Linux on it so that even though it's an older model laptop, it still runs laps around my newer work computer that's got Windows on it and runs like a slug, because Windows sucks. So anyway, I couldn't use that laptop to do this. It looked bad. It sounded bad. And my poor viewers, all a dozen of you who will actually watch these things, you're getting a crappy video, and I don't want to give you a crappy video. So I got on Amazon and I figured, well, what I need is better processor and more RAM and dedicated video card, and if I get that, then my live streams should be much, much better, and that should solve my problems. And I still did some bargain hunting, and I found what seemed to be a desktop computer with good specs, dedicated video card and quad-core 3.5 gigahertz processor, and it came with 8 gigabytes of RAM, which, granted, I know that's not a lot these days, but it's a heck of a lot more than the, I think, 2 or 4 that's on my laptop. So, that's still a big step up. And actually, I went ahead and I bought more RAM for it, so I'm up to 16 gigs. And I figured, if the laptop was able to get me this far, then just about anything that I buy is going to really put me the rest of the way. And that has not been the case, and here's why. The computer that I bought came with this video card. This is an AMD R7 240 video card. It's cute, it's little, and I think that these video cards, if you were to buy them on the shelf, are like maybe $70 or $80. So this is not a high-end video card, and I actually, in the process of trying to debug my problems, did some research on this video card, and I found a video where a guy was using this as an example of why cheap video cards are just a complete waste of money. And on one hand, I want to be like, hey, get off your high horse, but see, the other thing is, in my experience, the sucker was right. This video card is really not worth spending $70 or $80 on, when for $100 more, and I realize that that's more than twice as much, but in the scheme of things, in terms of what you're getting for that video card, in terms of performance and capabilities, the difference between the either no extra money that you would pay to just use the onboard video card that is on your motherboard, or at least on most motherboards, certainly on my laptop, I was paying nothing to use that video card. And this video card costs $70 or $80 and doesn't do really anything to solve that problem. So that's zero improvement for $70 or $80. That's not really a good ratio. When for $170, I was able to get this video card. Actually, this is an empty box. The video card is in the computer, so I can't really show it to you. But this video card is mammoth, and it's still a relatively, I'm going to use air quotes, relatively inexpensive video card, but it's a decent quality video card as opposed to this, which it's not going to do anything extra for your computer. I guess there is, it does something, but not what I needed it to do. And so that's where because I'm starting at ground zero, and because I'm not just buying the most expensive stuff and using money to solve all of my problems, now I know what I'm looking for. And what I was looking for in this case was I needed a video card that supported hardware encoding. Did you know there was a such thing as hardware encoding? I didn't know that there was such a thing as hardware encoding. I thought, if you're going to be creating video, you need a dedicated graphics card. Graphics is graphics. That's the way I was looking at it. But there's encoding and decoding. And see, most people, general public users, people who are not really creating content, they're just using their computer to be entertained and to do basic work. Watch videos online, log into their company email, do spreadsheets and things like that. And then when they're not working, play games and watch movies. When you're playing games and watching movies, that is decoding video. someone else has created that data, and the data is getting sent to your computer, and then the video card is using hardware decoding to turn that data into a video that you can watch, or turn that game into something on your screen that you can interact with. And so this video card supports hardware decoding. In fact, every video card, to my knowledge, supports hardware decoding. But only some of them, I'd say most, support encoding. And that's where you, the computer user, are creating data. You are creating content. So when I'm streaming my video so that you can watch it, on your end, you're decoding the video, or your video card is decoding the video. But my computer right now is encoding the video. And that's what I needed. That was one thing that's very important, because otherwise the CPU has to do the work and software has to do the work, and that robs your system of resources that it needs to do other stuff, like handle the internet and handle the streaming software and handle whatever else that I have going on. So that is the difference between hardware encoding and hardware decoding, and this video card, unfortunately, doesn't do any hardware encoding, and that's what I needed. But I didn't even know that I needed that until I didn't have it. Does that make sense? Because of the fact that I invested some money in a new computer, and then I had to go through the painful, and it has been painful process of debugging what's not working. Without that, I never would have known that I even needed to look for a video card that did hardware encoding. So if I had just willy-nilly spent lots and lots of money to try and get a great computer, and then I still ended up with a video card that didn't encode, which could have happened, I don't know. That would have been far worse than having to spend, in relative terms, a little extra money, which, okay, admittedly, $170 is not a little money, but in the scheme of things, it's not the worst amount that I've had to pay to solve a problem. Of course, that didn't completely solve the problem. It helped. It helped a lot. But that gets back to the webcam. I bought this webcam when I was live streaming from my laptop because the built-in webcam just looked bad. The images were fuzzy, and the colors were very saturated, and so I couldn't use that. So instead, I bought a dedicated webcam, a USB webcam, and it's a $20 webcam. And now using it and seeing that, okay, it uses USB 2, which is a slower exchange rate than USB 3, and I think they're up to USB 4. Is that right? I think. I'm not sure. I kind of lose track of this stuff. I'm not a very good tech geek. I'm just kind of a geek. So this, it's using older USB technology with a slower data exchange rate. It is capable of 720p or something like that. But it seems like when I have it set on that, it is very jerky and it has lag. So that's another thing that I've done in the OSB software. I have, and I can even show you here, which it's really kind of, I'm just going to say that it's really confusing for me when I'm trying to use my computer and it's showing the same window inside itself over and over again, and I keep wanting to click on the wrong menu. But you can see here, maybe you can see here, I'm hoping that you can see here, that I've got my output set at 720p by 780. I could probably even turn that down and give you a low resolution video that would stream faster. I've got this set up for the 1280 by 720. And I'm going to just hit cancel because I don't want to be changing my. I don't think I can change my settings while I'm actually streaming. But here there's also the video capture settings, and I can pull those up. And you can see that I turned the resolution on the camera down to 960 by 544. And so I'm not even in HD at this point, but the video's keeping up. And that's great. That is so good. So I still want a higher resolution image, but if I have to choose between higher resolution image or laggy, jittery, headache-inducing video, I'll take the lower. Oh, wait, I wouldn't be choosing between lower. Yeah, I'm going to choose the lower resolution versus the laggy, jittery, headache inverse. Yeah, I ruined that. I'm sorry. I kind of speaking about this off the cuff. So anyway, last time that I was live streaming from my phone, I was talking about Linux and Linux 19.10. And I was expressing my frustration with the fact that it didn't seem to see the video card right out of the box, and how the developers, it would be nice if they really need to kind of step up that sort of thing, because that's important to a computer user. We don't want to have to try and tell our operating system that our hardware exists. We want it to just exist. Well, I have to apologize to all of you. Wait, here, I'll zoom in. I, Clay Carlino, apologize to you, the developers of Ubuntu 19.10. You, the Linux users out there who support and love your Linux operating systems. I apologize to even those of you who don't care about Linux for getting the wrong impression. Linux was working just fine. It was seeing my video card. This video card just doesn't do what I needed it to do. That's not Linux's fault. Linux was working. It was working perfectly. It was going through the card. So yeah, I plugged in my new card, my Radeon RX 580 video card, and I didn't have to do anything on to the operating system. I didn't have to install any drivers. Everything's just working right out of the box. So I'm sorry, Linux. I should have never doubted you. I love you. Yeah, I love you, Linux. You and me, buddy. Sometimes we have our rough patches, but we stick together. We're like this. like this. Mono e mono. It's you and me, Linux. So that's it. I do think that I need to invest in a better webcam. I think that a newer webcam that has a faster connection to the USB port and supports a higher resolution will give me a better quality image. And, Wesley is attacking the table, which is important. So that's it. That's all I've got to say. That's my little update. But the desktop is working, and I'm live streaming, and the software works, and the hardware works, and it's taken a long time to get there, and that has been maddening, as you can tell, because I look like this. But it's finally working. So, I hope that you've been getting this stream. It's gonna really suck if I've been talking for the last, I don't even know how long, 26 minutes, and you haven't heard any of it because I didn't set up the stream correctly. So, thank you for watching. Please check out any of my other videos, and feel free to give this a thumbs up, subscribe, click the notification bell, all that YouTube stuff that those of us who make YouTube stuff tell you to do to help us out, so that Google will give us money for doing this stuff, because I keep having to spend money in order to make these videos. I haven't spent a lot of money to make these videos. So, you don't have to feel bad. And I probably spend the money anyway, so you're not responsible for my actions. I'm responsible for my actions. So, all right. That's it. Have a great evening, and thank you so much for watching. Let's see if the hotkey for stopping this stream works.